It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Pace University's head swimming and diving coach, Dylan Korn. How are you doing today?
Good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into college swimming and diving coaching?
Yeah, sure. It actually kind of just landed in my lap. I had been coaching an age group program for a couple of years, and I got an email from the swim coach at Pace asking, hey, we need a diving coach. Is there anyone out there that you might know of or would be interested? And I thought, it's not far from where I live. Let's check it out. So, I sat with him and talked about the program. At the time, he only had two girls, and there wasn't a big expectation of, what was going to happen. So I said, you know what, let's give it a shot. Might as well try it out. And I started with two girls. By the midseason, I had one girl, and the rest of the season was great. She went on to be the NE10 diver of the meet. She won both boards. I was the women's coach of the meet that year. So I thought, all right, well, this is a good first year. It can only get better from here. So let's look into what college diving is, what it means. And I kind of just took 1 year at a time and kept pushing my goal one step further. So I said, next year, let's get someone to the NCAA qualifier and see what Division II is. I come from a Division I background. I didn't really know much about Division II swimming and diving and what the talent was and what it looked like. So just getting to the qualifier the next year and seeing the depth of Division II and, making my plans of, okay, well, what do I need to do in recruiting and what are the kinds of kids that I need to get to that point? That's kind of how I made my strategy. And a couple of years later, here we are.
What was it like competing as a swimmer in college for Rider?
So I was recruited to Rider University by Dennis Seppa as a diver. I did 4 years there, and I had a great experience. People ask me how was college, and I think, I love the team. We traveled every weekend. We had competitions, and somewhere I got a BA in that. So I really enjoyed it. I had a great career. I had a fantastic coach that I really connected well with, who took me to that next level. I was a 3-time MAC champion, diver of the year. I was a 1-time ECAC diver of the year, and I was able to qualify to the Division I NCAA qualifier for my sophomore through senior year. So I really enjoyed my career. I had great teammates that helped push me. So I really enjoyed it.
What was it like, obviously, working with the Marlin Diving Club as the head coach for the diving coach?
Sure, yeah. So my diving started for me as a coach kind of right out of college. I graduated in 2008, and I was trying to get into film and television production, and it was kind of a tough time. 2008, everything crashed, and there wasn't really anyone hiring. So I figured, all right, maybe I can wait tables, and even those people weren't hiring. So I found a job listing for the Greenwich YMCA under head coach Billy McGowan at the time. And I knew him from, diving in the Westchester leagues as a kid. So I reached out to ask him, hey, are you looking for assistant? And he said, yeah, I am. So I started working there. A year later, he left. We had another assistant, Lindsay Yurdake, who's actually the Yale coach now. And she and I took over the program for about 9 years, co-head coached it. And we took this program from maybe 30 kids when we took it over to now it's 110, 120, where we're bringing kids to the national championship every year. We've had kids make Olympic trials. In 2018, me and one of my athletes was selected to represent the US at a FINA meet in Germany. So we've done a lot of really great things, and that I think that that experience of having a junior Olympic program has helped me in developing athletes. So working with the college kids in that sense, especially kids that, Division II is a mixed bag of tricks. You get some really great athletes, and then you get some kids who are swimmers who just want to try it out. So having that development background has really helped me, go as far as I've gone in the college career. So I really appreciate my junior Olympic career.
What was that feeling like of coming to Pace to become the diving coach first?
It was new territory for me. Like I said, I had only been working as a junior Olympic coach, so I am used to working with, kids as well as parents. When you get to college, the parents take a back seat. You're just working with these athletes. And, when you're working with kids, you see them for 2 hours, you do a workout, they go back home, and then you see them the next day. With the college kids, you're kind of there for their day, for their week, for their year, making sure, are they eating enough? Are they getting enough sleep? Are they working out correctly? Are they going to classes? How are they doing in school? So it's a whole other animal, really. I think college coaching is probably a little bit difficult compared to the junior Olympic program. It's definitely been an adjustment.
What was the transition like from going from being just the diving coach to now being the interim head coach?
This year was definitely a new year, a new experience for me. So in October, we had a coach who decided she wanted a new career path, completely got out of swimming, and I couldn't be happier for her. But I was the only one on the coaching roster at the time. So they said, hey, we need you to step into this role. Can you do that? And I was like, I guess so. I want this season to happen. We didn't have a season last year with COVID, and we've got a full roster. So, why not? What could go wrong? But thankfully, her husband, Victor Penaloza, was a volunteer swim coach. So he stepped in to coach the swimming while I did most of the recruiting and the admin of it. So the two of us really tag teamed it. But it was a bigger animal. My diving team is small compared to the swimming team. So to gain all these other athletes and to be tracking them through their year, and again, making sure they're going to classes and staying out of trouble and doing their work, with the divers, I didn't have to worry about that. I run a pretty tight ship, and I think they respect me enough to know what they can get away with and what they can't. And the swimmers, they only know me as the diving coach. So it was definitely, we had some learning to do as the year went on, but I think we got ourselves on track pretty well. I had some great upperclassmen help lead the team. So when we got to championship season, I think we really did the best we could have done. We had a lot of great swims, best times. Some of our, younger classmen rose to the occasion, which was great to see. So it was definitely a unique year, and one that, it was a lot of learning for me, and I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I've gone through it, because I think I'm better for it.
What was that transition like from all you knew was the diving, and now you jumped into the deep end, and now you're swimming with obviously the swimmers?
It was definitely a learning curve. I've been around swimming a lot most of my life. My husband was a swimmer. My friends were swimmers. Everyone I know is swimmers. So I definitely reached out to a lot of people. I reached out to our swim coach back at Ryder to ask some questions, just to get a better understanding of, what's it going to be like for a swimmer to go through a season. I wasn't putting together practice plans. I let Victor take the reins on that one, but just to understand, when do they need to rest? How many times do they need to practice? How much time between doubles do they need, just to make sure that we have our practice plans set out. So I appreciate all the help that I got.
What are some of your future plans with the swimming and diving program?
So I've been, specifically on the diving side, I've been really trying to build this program to be kind of like a force, not just on our conference level, but at the NCAA level. Like I said, when I started, I had one girl. She did fantastic, but you can't really build a program on one person. So through the years, I've tried to recruit more people and build this team into a group of of athletes that I feel like I can go to a conference championship and be the force to be reckoned with. And I think we did a great year. That's how I felt this year. We walked in and I had 3 boys in the finals. Both of my girls made the finals. So to have 5 out of my 6 divers in finals, compared to the rest of the teams, that was a great feeling. I feel like we finally have arrived to the point where I want to be. The next part is bringing more people to NCAA qualifier. I've been successful about bringing 1 person each year. This year I was able to get 2. Fortunately, they weren't able to make the NCAA meet, but that'll be next year's goal. So it's going to keep pushing and pushing. And for the swim team, this COVID really hurt. We had a lot of freshmen and sophomores that sophomores didn't have a season as their freshman year. So they didn't really know what it meant to go through a college season. And there was a lot of growing pains with that. But I think getting our younger classmen through this season, getting them to understand what it's like, when you're going to feel tired, when you're going to hurt, and when you have to push. I think next year, that's going to help us in the long run. We have a huge incoming class. We've got like 12 girls coming in and 4 or 5 guys, and that's going to integrate into our current team. And I think this team is set up for a really great couple of years coming forward. Whoever the incoming head swim coach will be has a good team on their hands.
What is that like, obviously, coaching not just the women, but also coaching the men too?
Honestly, I think it's so much fun to have both men and women on your team. I've never been on a one gender team. I've always had both male and female athletes. I think it brings such a great dynamic. When some of the girls are upset or when the guys are upset, you always have the other person to build them up and say, hey, we got this. Let's have fun. Let's turn the music up. Let's enjoy what we're doing. I think having both of them there at the same time, practicing, training, I think it's good for them. I think it pushes each other, helps them to grow as a team. That I think having that bond is really important. That's what makes sports fun, is having a fun team. So having both the genders there, I think it's great.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped build upon?
Yeah, so like I said, when I think back about my college career, I have no bad words about it. I love the culture of Rider University. Our coach, Steve Fletcher, he had this great way of making the swim team and the diving team be one team. When you walked in your freshman year, you had 40 friends. They're knocking on your door, trying to get you to come out, making sure you're at practice on time. The culture there was just so great. There's a lot of places where the diving and the swimming are a little bit separate. When I dove, you got on board and your whole swim team sat along the pool and watched and cheered. And when they were swimming, you were at the end of their lane cheering them on. So I really tried to pull that. I try to pull that into my coaching. I try to make that kind of the environment that I want to be in. And I think with this year having, our 4 boys and our 2 girls, I think for the diving team, mimics what I remember as an athlete. We've had so much fun with these guys. They laugh, they cry, they dance. They have a good time, and you can tell they genuinely like each other. And the divers with the swimmers, I think this is the best cohesive team I've seen in a while. They're always supporting each other. Occasionally a diver will jump into a relay if they need to, just to help out. And the swimmers really respect the divers for what they do. I think it's been a really good symbiotic relationship between the two.
Who are some of the teams that you compete against in your conference?
So our team is the NE10 Championship, or the NE10 Conference. We go against schools like Southern Connecticut University, Bentley University, St. Rose, Adelphi University. Our main competition, we're kind of in the middle of it. So you usually have Bentley and Southern Connecticut at the top. And then we're kind of mixing around with Lemoyne and Adelphi and St. Rose. So those are our big competitors. I think for the diving, Bentley is our closest rival. They always have a ton of kids. Our kids really enjoy working with them and competing against them. It's just a fun atmosphere. And, when you're having fun at sports, you're going to do well at sports.
What's that like to coach against teams like Bentley?
They are always fun to go against. We usually see them later in the season. So by the time we get there, we're working on our championship lists, we're working our harder dives, and we get a chance to go against them. The most of the season is our girls team goes against one or two girls each time. Our men's team typically competes against themselves. We just don't have that many people in the conference that have divers. So when you go against someone like Bentley, who has 3 males, 4 females, it's a big team that you get to compete against. And that's what's really going to push everybody and make everybody better.
What is that like, obviously competing against your conference teams, but also getting to compete against your non-conference teams, like going to UCLA, going to Stanford?
Yeah, I think it's important to get out of your conference once in a while. Like I said, for the swim team, I think our conferences, we're right in the middle. So when we go against people in our conference, they're getting a really great training experience, and seeing what's out there in their conference. For the divers, it's a little bit different. One of the things that we did this year was we did a diving invite against Rider University. It was fun because it's my alumni and we get to go see, my old coaches and friends. But it was great because they had really talented divers, and our kids were able to, take their competition and, put it a step higher and really push the bounds for that. So I think it's important to get out of your conference, push yourselves, maybe go against a harder competitor that maybe you're not going to win against. I'm a big believer in it's not always about winning. It's about pushing your boundaries, pushing your goals. If you didn't win that, understand why and how couldn't you do better on it next time.
What does a typical diving meet look like?
So we're pretty standard, just like any other division or NCAA, competition. You've got your swimming races at the beginning, you got a break in the middle for diving, you got some more swimming, you got the second diving, and then you finish out with swimming. So we're pretty standard. As far as the diving goes, we try to compete both 1 meter and 3 meter. Unfortunately, we get to move pools that don't have 3 meter. So we'll typically do like an 11 dive list on 1 meter, just to get our kids, more experience and more time on the boards to compete.
What is that like as a diving coach, seeing those divers that obviously you train jump off the diving board and go into the pool?
I've really enjoyed my time as a coach. I didn't plan this as my career path, but 15 years later, 13 years later, here I am. I coach an age group program. I've got a college program. I do some high schools there. It's been really rewarding, and getting to know these kids on such a personal level. You're not just coaching them, you're seeing them grow up, you're seeing them move on from one stage of their life to the next. And the trust that they give you to tell them, hey, go up onto that 9.5-foot diving board, do 3 flips, and I'll tell you when to come out. That trust that you get with that athlete, it's profound. It's something that it's going to go past sports. There's kids on this team that I know that I will have a relationship with past college. I will continue to speak with them and talk with them. Same with my college coaches, and my teammates. I'm probably 90% of my friends are from my time at Rider University. I go to their weddings, I see them grow up, and there's something about the sport that it's friendly, it's competitive, it's mental, it's physical. It really has all of the aspects that make it such a great sport. So I really enjoy coaching it.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to go into college diving and swimming?
So typically, we start recruiting kids around their late junior year, early senior year. A couple of years ago, the NCAA changed the recruiting time. So you could start getting recruited at the beginning of your junior year. As an age group program coach, I kind of have an issue with it. It really bumps a lot of kids back a couple years. When they're looking at big schools like the Ivy League schools, the Big Ten, you really, as a freshman, you better be on your game. And a lot of kids, they're struggling with school, they're going through, hormone changes. Like, it's a tough period of their life. And to tell them as a freshman, hey, you better be ready at the end of this year so you can be recruited as a junior. And if you're not, then you're not going to those schools. Like, it's really tough. And again, that's a really select group of kids and schools. That's not the entire country. So I think for a lot of the other schools out there, a lot of the other divisions out there, we're probably not starting that early to recruit kids. But we, like I said, we typically get kids around their end of their junior year, early senior year. We start having conversations with them, talking to them over the phone, getting to know them as people. We get their transcripts, we see their grades. We try to invite them out to visit the campus. With COVID, it's been a little different. A lot of the schools have done virtual tours, which I think have been great, but still, you want to get kids on the campus to see the facility, to meet the team, to meet the coach. So that's typically our process. We're starting to get more kids on campus. We haven't done our overnights yet. We haven't brought that back. But that's about how we do our recruiting.
Of course, as a diving coach, what are some of the things that you look at in these prospective student athletes when on the road?
I think for me, it's about personality. For number one, you have to have grades. You have to have good grades. But number two is big. It's about personality. I don't really care if you're the best diver in the world or the worst diver in the world. If you're someone that's going to work hard, that's willing to get out of their comfort zone, try different things, and push themselves, but still, have a sense of humor, be able to click with the rest of the team. If you're going to elevate the team to a better team dynamic, I think that's the kind of person that I'm looking for.
What does the official visit look like for those prospective student athletes when on the official visit they come to PACE?
So typically, hopefully once our COVID rules, ease up a little bit, typically if we're really interested in somebody, we'll offer them a official recruiting trip, which means that they can come to campus for a 48-hour period. They'll have a host that they stay with from the team. They'll stay in their dorm. They'll get to go eat with them. They'll go to classes with them. They'll meet some professors in some of the areas of study that they're interested. They'll get to watch a practice. In Division II, you can actually sign a waiver and you can practice with the athletes if you want, which is kind of cool. So you get to see this kid, practice in an environment and not just, on a video. And then after 48 hours, they head back home.
What's that like, obviously, as a coach, seeing them, once they sign that waiver, actually participate in practice and see if obviously they fit with the culture and with the team?
Yeah, I don't think Division I has that rule. I don't think you're allowed on the boards or in the pool for recruiting purposes, but with Division II you are. And it's kind of cool. You get to see them interact with your team. You get to see, is this the kind of dynamic that could really work? How do they fit in? Are they having fun? Are they listening? And what kind of skills do they bring? What I saw on their recruiting trip tape, is that what I'm seeing in person? So it's kind of fun to be able to put all those elements together and see how well that person's going to fit.
What advice would you give those high school athletes looking to go into college swimming?
Grades. Make sure you study and do well in school. That's my number one advice. Outside of that, I think there's a school out there for everybody. I think a lot of people get tunnel visioned when it comes to colleges. I think some people feel like they can't make it or they're not going to be able to do it in college because the commitment. I think everyone has that Division I blinders on and they think it's going to be 20 hours a week and it's going to take up all my time and I'm not going to have free time. But that's not the case. I think there's a college out there. There's a place out there for everybody. There are schools that are a little more lenient about practices and want you to really enjoy the school. There are great combinations out there. So just do your research. Make sure you talk to every coach that you want to talk with, get a great understanding, ask questions. but do the research because I really believe there's a place out there for everybody.
What advice would you give those future college divers and even swimmers that are looking to go from the college level to the Olympic level?
It's a journey for sure to get to that Olympic dream. And to be on that journey, I think it's about finding the right people to be on that journey with. I'm a big believer in relationships and connections, and I don't necessarily think you have to dive with or be training with the top coaches in the world to become an Olympian. I think you need to find somebody that you just click with, that you trust, that you know has the skills to bring you there, and work well with them. I had a teammate, Amanda Burke, who when she started at Ryder, she really couldn't do much. She was a high school diver. She didn't have 3-meter experience. And she just, some of the crashes she took were pretty painful. But she trusted my coach and she connected with him so well that he took her all the way up to Olympic trial level. And she was a world-class athlete. She was on the national team. So I've seen it work where if you believe in someone and you trust them and you connect with them, you can get to those levels. So like I said, it's a journey. Find an environment that you enjoy, being in, and make sure you remind yourself every day that you're lucky to be in sports. It's a great field to be in, and 2, keep pushing yourself. There's going to be days that are hard. There's going to be days that you don't want to do it, but you got to keep pushing yourself and remind yourself, what are those goals and why am I doing it? And surround yourself with people that are positive. I think that's a big thing.
What advice would you give future head coaches looking to get into the swimming and diving on the college level?
Yeah, college is awesome. It's such a different animal from, JOs, from a club team. I think it's great. It's good experience. It's a different animal than working with kids and parents. It's really your own. I think what a lot of young coaches forget is that when they go, they think they have to know everything. They've got to figure out themselves and they're going to stick to their guns. And I think that's great. But I also learned so much just by sitting on a pool deck, watching other divers dive and turning to the coach and say, hey, that was a really good jump. Like, how did you do that? What kind of drills do you do to get to that point? So, I think ego takes a front seat in coaching. I think people need to just be a little bit more friendly, talk to their neighbor, because the more we share ideas, I think the more the elevated the level of sports is going to get. I think we could push the bounds of our athletes just by talking with each other and sharing those drills and experiences.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the Pace University Swimming and Diving Program?
Yeah, so Pace Swimming and Diving, we are on Instagram, Pace Swim Dive. We've got Pace_U_diving for the Pace Diving. And I have a personal account. It's private, so I'll only accept you if I know you, but it's DKNY 1185.
Thank you again, Coach Dylan Korn, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with Pace University's head swimming and diving.
Thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brain, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Dylan, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you so much.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.